Welcome back. This is part three of Dewey's conversation with Shareen.
So you were saying something about death before we decided to take a break. um, can you share a little bit about that and your experience, your
I
personal
think,
experience?
yes. I think I was starting to talk about when I was my awareness at age 37
Yeah.
that I was 37 and it was the year and it was the time and I just remember waking up from I'm going to call it a dream. I don't think it was really a dream. I think it was just kind of that awareness of like, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And waking up and thinking, "Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. I've got very young children. They'll be without a mom. And I know that that was part of the mock-up maybe was, dad and all the, all the things, but I was like, dear God, I can't do this. I can't, it, I need to renegotiate. I'm not okay with it.
Mhm.
And, uh, and I can remember being in prayer, being in meditation, prayer, kind of in that state of just over the next couple of days of really just talking with my spirit team and I have an awareness that it was really a lot of discussion and negotiation and renegotiating my agreement with my oldest son, renegotiating my agreement with my husband, renegotiating my agreement with all the other three kids and all the things that, kind of like we talked about that arena of like watching the movies, right? And the people who said, "Yeah, I'll come in and do this." Like, yeah, actually, we don't need that part. So, yeah, I'm sorry, not sorry. You're gonna have to. It was just a lot of renegotiation because there were so many people, pieces, things kind of involved.
Mhm.
And I can't really describe the whole process other than that heartfelt certainty, awareness of like, okay, I'm gonna redo this. And then when everything was set, I think it was a couple days later, again, I woke up in the middle of the night and like I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, and I was aware of part of me going up and out and something else
Mhm.
coming in and being like the breath of life just all over again in
Mm.
that moment. Um, and and in a lot of ways from that moment on, my like I wasn't like, oh, I was a completely new person. Everybody's like, who are you? But there were just things that had been the way I did things and what was important to me just kind of all shifted. And not so much overnight, but close. There was like it took a while to kind of reorganize some of those things, but the stuff that I'll even say, that had occupied certain thought spaces in my head, and certainly it was like they just didn't match. And I started really diving into energy healing. That was the path. That was the thing. That's what I needed in that moment. Prior to that, it was kind of a thing I'd played with, much like, play with cards, play with astrology, but mostly I was a mom and I worked a full-time job and I did, those things. And this was suddenly like, okay, not doing that work journey so much anymore. Gonna learn energy healing. So
So at that time, um, like before you renegotiated, was there something like was there an illness? Like was there something that prompt you like physically to know, or is it just a knowing?
it was, I always had, what do you call it? Precognition. Like I had dreams,
Mm.
prophetic dreams.
Mm, mm,
And like I dreamt my parents' divorce. I mean, just all kinds of things. And I would dream the car crash. I would dream the car crash and know that I was going to die. And I knew like I said, it's not like I knew the day, the hour, the time, but I knew the age. I knew that, like, and I could feel it. And in that. couple weeks, there were so many near misses. Like I can't even tell you, like 3 or 4 a day for about 2 weeks. Before and after, like before the whole negotiation moment, during and after, it was kind of like, are you sure? Because we got people who are like, it's gonna happen. Yeah. And
Sounds like
so,
Final Destination.
yeah, it's like, no, no, not doing that. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and I can just remember it took a certain kind of certainty that, yeah, I was, you know, an awareness, like all these things that were gonna happen, different kinds of karma resolving, different things, like that's all not gonna happen. And so
Mhm.
you know, my kids are all having their life experience. I'm having, it's a different, like not better, worse, but just different,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and and I sometimes wonder if certain places where my family seems to get stuck is in part like, well, we were supposed to be doing something else. That opportunity's not there, so I don't know what to do,
Mm.
you know. But that's also, us women, we're pretty good at the guilt machine. If I can find something to be guilty for, I will.
Mm.
And so, and amusement helps, but, and also knowing, truly knowing, I can't explain it, but truly knowing how much negotiation work was going on in those 3 days of my
Yeah.
life of just, and all the spirit to spirit conversations and all the just the things that I have at that time, they were like, I probably could have told you all of the things.
Mm.
Now it's kind of just a
Fuzzy.
memory of the intensity of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I've heard of Michael Tamura's his experiences, and he's had quite a few. And he went through something similar like you did. Um, some with more clarity, like he could share the details of, but his was more like a near-death experience, like his body actually died and all that.
Yeah.
So, but it was very similar. Like it's so wow. So okay, so then since then you have a different path, a different life. Would you say that like maybe that not previous, but the first part of your life, like it's done, like all the things you wanted to do is done, and so then there's the next thing, or is it a
It's
continuation?
well, oh, how to put it? My spirit is my spirit, right? This personality, this life that Shareen is, would I say it's that there's, I believe that as spirits and incarnating, we have actually learned a lot. And we figured out that we don't actually have to fully die to end the karma and reset and do the things. I think there was, and maybe there are quite a few people who still do, but I think that more and more of us, it'll be like suddenly just like, yeah, I was living this life and I just one day decided to wake up and go do this, right? And it's kind of like, well, what prompted that? I don't know. I do think our spirits in some way are better at figuring out how to when we've completed all the karma and all the things that maybe the say you say the spiritual checklist, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Experience that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's complete, rather
Mm-hmm.
than like having to die and go through the whole process of getting bodies. Like, you know what? My body's pretty good. I think I got
Mm-hmm.
another 40 years, so what can I do with that?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of re-download a whole new
New list.
checklist.
Mm-hmm. That's
Um,
what I meant. Like the first checklist, like your pre-birth checklist. Okay, done. What now?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
we still got time. The body's
yeah.
still
I
good.
will say that there are certain aspects of my former self. I was really into city planning, urban design. Um,
Oh, wow.
public work, politics, that kind of stuff, that there are times where I see things going on in my city. I'm like, I could totally go in and do all da 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 da. I could do it. I have the information, I have the things, and I'm like, but is that really like okay? You're on this journey right now with are you ready to because even though our spirit is capable, we have all the information. Our bodies can really only do so much
Mhm.
at a time.
Mhm.
And so, do you want to do that? You can do that, and maybe there's space for both. But
Mhm.
when I look at my understanding of what it takes to really be on city council or to do the politics or to affect that kind of change and not just phone it in, and what it takes to be a spiritual teacher and do things and not just phone it in. like oh, I could do both, but it would be half-assing both of them, or I can just pray about the others, pay attention when there's an action I can take an action over there, but stay on this path. I got to adjust my headphones. They're doing weird things. Hold on just a
Mhm.
sec. So, is it done? I would say, I mean, 80%. I mean, you still have the childhood memories, you still have the different thing. I think it's really interesting that in the last 5 years, I've really been digging through the childhood imprints from ages 3 to 5,
Mhm.
and really the, experience of being smart, capable, the super sensitive, all the things. Yeah, and just really kind of accepting and healing and it that it is parts work, and it's interesting to me because so much of who I am now is so different than who I was as an adult, but
Yeah.
those rooted childhood memories are still in the cells of this body. Still have to go through, the different things and the conversations with my grandmother, about seeing the fairies and the this and that, and how many times, it was like, oh, that's cute, but don't tell it, we don't talk about that. We don't say that. You don't see that. It's like all of the, oh, okay, we got to stay safe. To stay safe, we don't tell people things like that. Yeah. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting how as children we have all this um, capabilities, but the adults, because they have been programmed out as they grew up, then they too program the child, and so on and so forth. And so then we grow up thinking, like either we forget or just invalidated, like all the things that we've seen and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't even, you know, I don't even think it's so strong as like the adults trying to invalidate or that even can. I think a lot of it is just when we're in that stage, and you remember your children at this stage when they're like, what's that? What's that?
Mhm,
What's that?
mhm, mhm,
And we're like, that's a chair, that's a desk, and if the adult has turned down their extra senses, their clairvoyance, their clairaudience, their whatever, they say, and the child sees an energy form,
mhm,
right? Like, what's that? And the adult says, there's nothing there. The
mhm,
child's like, but it's right there. Like, no,
mhm. It's a
there's nothing
wall.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then the thing that the child was seeing,
It's nothing.
it's filed as nothing, or they're trained not to see
This,
it
yeah.
or
Hmm.
not to pay attention to what they're seeing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, early in my, well, in my teenage years and things, I would I would see auras and things, and I didn't want to at that point. It was hard. And so, but I recognized that there was a certain aspect of myself that I turned off in the moment. But if I
Hmm.
closed my eyes and thought about a memory or person, like the aura is there. All the
Mm,
all the stuff is there in the memory,
mm,
but in the moment, I trained myself to look past it a lot of times. I have to actually really work to be like, I want to see it all with my eyes open. I'm going to see it because I trained my brain to not. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just, I think that there's a lot of that. And there are definitely some adults who really work hard to invalidate anything spiritual, supernatural, that, it's like, that's, you guys are just a bunch of hooey, bunches
Mm-hmm.
of hooey. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, it's just as simple as, like you said, that adult was trained to not see, not know, not recognize. So when asked, it's not that they're like, oh, well, I see something, but I'm going to train somebody
Yeah.
not to see it. It's
Yeah.
just they don't,
They don't
not
see it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Um, so going back to we talked about like, your pre-birth checklist agreements and whatnot. So then also like pre-death, well, not pre-death, but when it's time, it looks like there are things already lined up, whatever. And and um I think that it's a very crucial point because a lot of people think that um oh, when someone dies, they're unlucky or, like they must have done something wrong. It's karma, so they died, like it's a punishment or that, that sort of thing. So I think talking about this brings a whole other light to it, the where nothing in your life is random or um like you're not a victim, like you agree to all of this.
well, and uh, I would say we agree, yes, on a certain level, we agree to all of it. There are other levels of awareness, though, um, that can come into play. I don't know, how do I want to put it? Okay, so like, I've got lots I want to say. Let's just talk about death for a minute. That concept of, oh, I must have done something wrong. They punished me, whatever, right? To me, that is so indicative of our internal awareness that our spirit is eternal. The concept of something stopping, like, well, I obviously did something wrong, right? But biologically on this planet, anything that is born is going to die. That's just what is the quasi joke that the number one cause of death is birth,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, 100% in 100% cases of all deaths, birth was involved.
Yep.
So, and I do think that as spirit, and you see this in children, right? They don't have a concept of mortality.
Hmm.
When they're little, everything's wonderful, it's exciting. The first
Hmm.
time that they see something die, whether it's an insect, an animal, a person they know, like it's such a shock to their whole thing because their internal awareness is just everything is, just exists, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I do think that, you know, religion does a lot of things, connects us to God, helps us remember things, but also is really great at control games. And death is one of the pictures about death and what happens after death because nobody can quote prove it, right?
Oh boy, this is going to open up a whole can of worms.
Or we'll just so anyway, we'll just put that off for a different conversation. But
Oh,
but
keep
yeah,
going,
there's
keep going.
there's there
This is
are.
going to light a lot of
It's
people up.
I do I enjoy studying religions. I enjoy looking at, everything from, I think about the Roman Empire that lasted what, like 400 years before Christ and 800 years, like it's like 2000, I don't know,
Whatever.
it's a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's a couple of millennia or 8 millennia. I have this 8,000 year thing in my head, but I don't know if that's fully accurate.
Mm.
But regardless, they were, the whole pantheon of gods that they worshiped during that. It wasn't the way we approach it like mythology.
Mhm.
Like that was the foundation of their lives.
Mhm.
And you couldn't worship all of the gods because there's no space for that. You had to kind of choose your alliances, right? This is this is who our main person, and they had some exceptions to that. Hesta or Vesta, you know, the goddess of fire, hearth, and home. Almost every home in Rome had something to her and something that, but you contrast that with Christianity, which was came to being in the middle of all of that Roman Empire.
Mhm.
Like it was never a point where it didn't have that till now.
Mhm.
Um, and then the Jewish traditions, Hindu traditions, Festival of Lights. I love that. There's so much beauty in all of the religion and the ceremonies, and it reminds us to connect to the God of our heart, or our source within, or source without. Um, and they all have stories about death, the afterlife, all things. You just went to, uh, can I talk about where you just went?
Oh yeah, of
Okay.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not a secret.
Yeah. You just got back from Egypt, where a lot of their culture was based around planning for and having the right death.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like their whole life almost is about the death moment, which
Yeah.
is interesting,
They
right?
take their death seriously.
It's like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, but we as humans have figured out how to use all those connections, right, wrong, right, to form agreements, to form control, to form enforcing those agreements, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I was just listening to a pod, or I don't know if it's podcast, video cast, whatever you call that, today, and the person was bringing up how in our country, in the United States, we used to have a big shame thing, especially leaders, people who are popular. Like if they did some, they were seen as kind of perfect, which is not fair to anybody, but then if they did something wrong, oh, there's a shame, and you needed to leave office, you needed to quit your job, you needed to whatever. And right now, we kind of don't have that agreement. People are like, yeah, 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 I said that. I never said it was true. That's your job to figure out if I'm a liar or not. Like, oh, well, or yeah, I did that thing, and well, aren't you ashamed? Meh, yeah, yeah, it was maybe not good. Well, don't you think you should leave office or leave your job? No, I'm happy here, and we don't know what to do with that because we used the shame to enforce the agreement, and they're like, yeah, I'm not in agreement with the agreement. What do we do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We get back to these agreements, cultural agreements, society agreements, all the things. And there was another question I wanted to answer. I got distracted. Um, you asked about, oh, yeah, so the moment of death, and free, I've seen where we all have multiple exit points. There might be one that we have in quote in mind. This is the preferred one. This is what we're going to do, right? And I have the awareness if I chose a different one. I'm really not very clear now what it'll be because like, yeah, I bypassed that main exit. I'm just going down the road. We'll see. Um, but well, I've watched people. work through those energies and decide. People, cancer is an interesting thing, right? Um, Cancer is a person's own body having miscommunication and growing things that then killed the body off, right? Essentially, in a nutshell. And I've worked with a lot of people that have cancer, and the mock-ups are all the reasoning behind it is so wide and varied. Like,
Mm.
I watched one mother and son who, like, the mother had the son and then 9 months later had a daughter, and the son was so in competition with that sibling, never got the mom's attention, right? Da, 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 da. Well, about age 7 or 8, the kid got bone cancer, and it required his mom's attention
Mhm.
to help him, right? And the sister also had to support him. So he got mom's attention, and he got to go on a healing journey. Could he heal himself, right? All these things. And the mom, I watched her working actually, could she trust God? Right. And in that moment, I could see the decision point of like, well, I'm either going to abandon God because he's obviously not in favor of my son, this cancer thing's happened, or I'm going to lean into God.
Right.
And regardless of whatever happens, know that God, and I just watched her really expand her connection with
Mm.
God and all that. And that was their agreement around this cancer. And oh my goodness, they fought so hard. He was cancer free for about a year, and then it came back.
Mm.
And you could just see he was like, I'm not up for this fight again,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it was so weird. And I've watched other people have cancer and totally like I don't have time for this. Don't have time for this. I yeah, they say I've got it. Don't have time for this. I got to go to work normal. I got to do the things normal, and they just live with it until they can't. And I see other people work with cancer and do the body healing thing with the chemo and the stuff, and and then return to normal life. And everybody's journey with it is so different, but kind of like none of them are victims. Back to that whole kind of original premise, none of them are victims. And even um, one of my good friends had cancer. It showed up, well, it was pituitary cancer that killed her ultimately. But it showed up in a lung scan. She thought she just had a little bit of lung cancer, and as they did it all, they discovered all the things. But I can remember, she came to visit me as as a professional healer, saying, "Well, I just got these diagnoses," and we sat and talked for a long time. I was like, "Well, what does it mean to you? What is your desire here?" And she's like, "I've been thinking about it a long time." She said, I think this is where I'm supposed to leave. I think
Mm.
this is my exit. And I just got to work on all of the things that I can work on between now and then. And so, uh, we worked mostly on, just giving her a grounding cord and finding inner peace and not really trying to heal the cancer so much. And she really took a lot of steps in making sure her family was cared for, having all the conversations she wanted to have, all the things. Her sister couldn't handle the fact that she wasn't going to fight it. She's like, just please try it. So she's like, well, all right, I'll go to the doctor and see what they said. And of course, the doctor's like, yeah, we can't operate on it. It's too involved in the brain. We can't do, so some of the things her internal knowing were saying, the doctors kind of validated. But yeah. And then she got just to a point where it was super painful. And she asked me to help her with the pain. And I can remember that day of working with her, and just we weren't she was in a different city than me, but working with the pain and helping her separate from that pain. And there was just this moment where it was like I could feel the pop, like she was separate from the pain and she was all beautiful and shiny. And I looked and I could see the body, and I was like, oh, oh,
Oh.
Oh, well, but she was so happy. Like she's like, thank you so much. But sure enough, I got a call about 6 hours later.
Mm,
Yeah, did you hear that she passed? And I was like,
mm,
I hadn't heard. And but thank you for letting me know. But I was like, but I kind of knew because
mhm,
I felt the. It's interesting to feel the pop.
mm,
The
mm,
exit is like,
mhm,
oh. So
mhm, mhm, mhm.
anyway, I don't know if that answered anywhere where we started on things up.
Okay. So, oh boy. Okay, we're running out of time again. How did this time go?
I guess I like to talk. Uh,
Um, okay. Well, it kind of already answered this. The next question is the experience of renegotiating your contract changed how you live now and your purpose and what you're here to do. I think you sort of answered that. I don't know if you want to add more.
yeah, I mean, I would say definitely in some ways, even before I was kind of an innovator, fixer, fix the town, fix the things, plan the stuff, build community, all of that was still, was very vivid. In present time, I still very much believe in community, but the way that I'm crafting it, the way I'm picking it up, it's not so much about needing to heal my town or everybody in it or fix the community. It's how do we build community? What
Mhm,
does it mean to have agreements? How do we work together and do those things? So there's it's like
mhm,
just maybe a different approach, but it's also, I mean, yeah, meditation, energy healing, all that stuff was it was it was kind of just a fun 5 minute thing to think about
mhm,
before, and now it's everything that I do. It's who I am, how I express myself, how I validate that. So
mhm.
yeah, very different in some ways. I've not really actually been brave enough to ask my husband if he notices the difference, but I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has
Mhm,
because we
mhm.
were married for several years before. I mean, yeah, about 10 years before and it's been about 10 years since. So it's kind of interesting. But
Maybe the last question around this is, the idea of like birth and death is like a cycle, right? It's like, uh, or maybe how people see death as a mirror to the beginning. Like,
mm,
how would you see that now, like with your lenses now, the birth and the death, the whole thing?
I would agree that they are two sides of the same door in some regards. The process after death of the life review and the part of you that is attached to the life that you created and the people in that and kind of hangs out. Like we talked about baby beings hanging out with the mom before. Is like when the people die, oftentimes they want to hang out around the people after. Um, and and th- there is a process there's processes and it's a little bit different for everybody what time and order that they take and I don't have all of the 100% answers. All I have is my information from working with clients, from looking at from talking with spirits, from talking with ghosties, um, those things. So
This is the end of part 3 of our 4-part conversation with Shareen on soul agreements. Stay tuned because each upcoming episode opens another layer of clarity, remembrance, and truth.